Alice took me, and then we went to Alice's daughters over there on the lake, and James brought me home. But the chapel was full.
Well, good.
I sat by Cyrus, Melissa, and Pat, and then Laird's wife came in,
Hmm.
and they had about 8 pallbearers
Hmm.
of all the nephews and things.
Yeah.
But everything went beautifully.
Well, that was good.
It was 105 degrees.
Oh, my goodness.
I
The
can't hardly hear you.
Well, you mean the heat index or the actual temperature?
The temperature,
My goodness.
105, and it's been that way all this whole week. And
Oh.
everything burning up. My
Well,
whole yard, trees and all, is burning up.
goodness gracious.
And we haven't had a drop of rain. Well, Shreveport got a little, just enough to say they had a little rain in different spots around, and we haven't had a drop in the whole year. And Texas is in worse shape.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
But that's all in God's hands. See, all the other places flooded out or burned up.
mm-hmm.
And even in Mansfield, they had big fires, even right here in Shreveport and around in Greenwood. People throwing a cigarette out on the road and sitting. It's just so dry. The grass is and fields are yellow, corn and everything else.
Yeah.
So the men, they say the cattleman is having to sell off because they don't have any feed.
Well, I'll say.
Huh?
I'll say.
But I enjoyed that. Everybody was in good condition. Poor Savannah looked like a toothpick.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
And, well, and you remember Letty's youngest boy, John?
Yeah.
He was there. He lives in Dallas. He stepped up, and he's got a little beard and real thin. And I didn't even know him. See, we had all the sisters sat together
Yeah.
under the tent.
Oh.
And the pallbearer stood back over there behind the coffin. It was just a beautiful, long service, better than I've ever seen.
Well, that's not.
Southside Baptist Church with
Yeah.
a pastor. And I guess everybody was there but Sophie.
Yeah.
She's not even mentioned in the obituary.
Yeah. That's what Bibby said. I called her yesterday.
That is a shame. And then Kathleen bawled me out because she went there and gave away everything May had. That's why Letty had to step in and take control. That's Kathleen called this morning. I said, well, I think it's a shame that Sophie wasn't mentioned in the obituaries, and Kathleen didn't like it.
Didn't like what?
That I said Sophie wasn't mentioned.
Oh.
Said she went there and took over, and she did. She gave Alvin's new truck to a man down the street. So Letty had to go in.
Yeah. Well, I never did know what happened.
Well, it was worse than I ever heard. Sophie giving everything May had away till Letty moved in and moved Mary Ruth into May's house. And I asked Mary Ruth who wrote the obituary, and it was the prettiest that I have ever seen. You got time for me to read it to you?
Yeah.
Can't hardly walk. My hips in such
Mm.
bad shape. It has Agnes Ma Johnson, 93. of Shreveport will be held at 2 p.m. Saturday, July 11th, Century's Memorial Home Chapel. It's the only funeral home that has a beautiful chapel in the graveyard, and that's the best I said I wish I could move mine up there.
Mm.
But anyway, it's the pastor of the Southside Baptist Church, Buddy Hankins. He's a real good preacher. Well, and so on down here, she went to be with the Lord and Savior on July 9th, 1998 at 12:30 a.m. at Shumpert Medical Center after a lengthy illness. Ms. Johnson was born November 12, 1904 in Elizabeth, Louisiana. She retired from LSU Medical Center after 20 years of service. She was preceded in death by her husband, Alvin Johnson Sr., and grandson, Rodney Lee Johnson. That's Alvin Jr.'s boy. Survivors are Alvin Johnson Jr. and wife, Mary Ellen of Malakoff, Texas, daughter, Letty Pickett of Shreveport, 4 grandchildren, Debbie Manisco, that's, who is Mary Ellen's daughter, Junior's daughter, Albert Jr. Pickett Jr., Mary Taylor, John Pickett, 4 grandchildren, Bert Johnson, Ryan Pickett, Lori Manisco, and Anna Taylor, and 5 sisters, Essie Kennedy, Billy Arthur, Elsie Mixon, Margaret Ward, Savannah Willis, and brother Glenn Laird. Pallbearers will be Norval Blaylock, Ed Price, Laird Evans, Alan Arthur, Randy Arthur, John Pickett, Albert Pickett, and Ryan Pickett. The family would like to thank the staff of the guest house and all the nursing staff on the 7th floor at Shumpert Medical Center for the loving care given. And at the bottom, it's out of Timothy. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. And it's a beautiful picture of her. If I can get another one, somebody give me, I'll send you.
Well, Baby said she'd send me one.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Well, I'll send one to Sister then.
Yeah.
But it was a nice funeral.
Well, good.
And then we went over to Alice's daughters over on Cypress Lake and played a little poker.
Yeah.
Come. And I rode home with him, and I'm just wore out after standing so long and sitting. My hip's getting worse all the time.
Yeah.
So y'all won't see me this year.
Well, we might. You know,
I got to thinking that last time that I saw May is when you and me went.
Yeah.
And that was how many years ago?
I don't know. I'll have to look back on my video.
Yeah.
94
well,
maybe?
She was so happy that Eve Carolyn took Savannah. And they said she was just the happiest thing she ever saw. Just hugging them. And then, see, when she went down to lunch at the cafeteria, I guess, or in the same floor, she had that stroke.
Well.
And Alice came and got me, well, I didn't have a way to go, James working, but she called one day and asked, did I want to go see May? And I said, oh, yes. So I was there the day before she died, or that day, and she kept reaching out, and she's on all kind of suction and all this and that and the other, and they came in, took her blood sugar, and it was 300 and something. I don't know how come it to be so high, but that's the way mine does, fluctuates all the time. I took mine this morning, it's 338. They say it stores up and then don't get into the bloodstream. But anyway, she kept reaching her hand. She's laying on her left Mary, Letty and that daughter and her husband, little girl, was all in there eating dinner. And the nurse coming in all the time trying to fix the tubes and this and that and the other. So finally, after the nurse got through and suctioned her and all, I walked to the bed, and she's held her hand out, just reaching her hand up.
Mm.
And I took her hand, and she squeezed it.
Mm.
I mean, I couldn't get loose. And I rubbed her head and talked to her, and she knew what was going on. Letty said she can't remember nothing, but she sure knew that was me. I
Yeah.
told her. I said, May, this is Margaret, and she just grabbed my hand and squeezed it. I couldn't even get it loose. So I'm thankful that I got to go that last day.
Yeah. Was she supposed to be in a coma or something?
Oh, yeah, she
Yeah.
had a stroke. She couldn't even open her eyes.
Yeah. Well, I think they know what's going on, though.
They do. Everybody, all my family that I've been with, they know right at the end they got just a little better. Because
Yeah.
I know with Mama, Papa, and Alvin, and Eva.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a mystery. But now you see, when Mama was dying, I was there with her, and she recognized me. She hadn't been able to even see or hear, and she recognized me, said, Margaret. I said, yes, Mama, I come to stay with you. And then when she died, I was in the room. You was downstairs, don't you remember? You went up there and farted. Well, when I got up there, that nurse was fanning and sending the porter all through the halls to see where the bad scent come from. And when I got in there and talked with her and stayed a while, she opened her eyes and said, Margaret. And then when she was dying, she said, Ma, they see into heaven.
Yeah.
Papa did the same thing. His mama died when he was a child, and he said, Mother.
Mm.
So they're seeing into heaven.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy was too far gone to say anything.
Mm.
Because he just laid there, and I talked with him till I had to leave because Kathleen and me spent the night and the day, 2 days there.
Yeah.
And then James came in just before he died. But they know what's going on. Tommy when we took him to the VA.
Yeah.
One night at, I can't remember, we left there the next morning at 4 o'clock. And then we said we just couldn't go back that day, and then we went back the next day. And he was sitting up in the wheelchair, happy as he could be. So they get better.
Yeah.
Right at the end, and I'm thankful that I've been with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want you to come and be with me. You just don't fart. Well, Cyrus and Pat, and Melissa was there, and poor little Melissa had been crying. So, And then Laird's wife come and sit down on the bench with us.
And what's her name? I can't
Joanne.
think. Joanne.
And they had Laird and all the nephews, grandboys, pallbearers.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful ceremony. It just, as James said, just lasted too long.
What?
Singing. Preacher sang that Thomas A. Dorsey, that old black preacher, wrote Precious Lord, Take My Hand, and another song. And I have never seen anybody, and I'm turning completely against her, as prejudiced as Alice.
Oh, really?
Everything is nigger.
Oh, no.
And I told her, I said, I wasn't raised to be, I said, we was raised to love. I wasn't raised, everything, them niggers just taking over. And Dinah's old mother-in-law, the other day, I was up there and the children, and there's a man stopped, in the storm, Ned's all his pine trees was blown down
Mm.
all over the road and in front of his house, and he was waiting for some man, timberman, to come get him, and I saw this little old truck stop there and talk to Ned, but he didn't let him have him because he'd already told this other fella. And her old mama was sitting there and said, Wesley, was that a nigger out there your daddy was talking to?
Mm.
I told Dinah, I said, Dinah, that was awful. I told her, I said, your mama sat there and Wesley can't stand her. He stays at Peggy's because she's so mean to him. And then she goes over there and takes over the house and
Mm.
cooks and just such shit as that. But that's Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I told Alice right quick, now she's calling them colored people. I said, they're human. And my best friend's down there is black.
Yeah.
I said, Tommy got Lou Berter's boy when he was 10 years old, take him all over the country to sell watermelons. And I said, I think a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because that's been our friends all our life. That's what we was raised with.
Right.
So it's just, well, God's in charge. People with that hate, I don't know. But old Alice, do you know what she's done? She's went to these boats here and lost all her money. Her daughter told us yesterday, $7,000.
Mm.
And she gets about a over $1,000 check a month.
From where?
Social Security from husbands and her work.
Mm.
And she's she brought her children here in my house. She even steals.
Mm.
Stole things out of my bathroom. Children stole all of my stuff, her grandchildren, off of my Christmas tree years ago that Kathleen, when she lived in Knoxville, got the foreign students, brought all kind of beautiful little ornaments.
Mm.
So I can't, I'd keep my billfold in my purse, but when I went in to play poker, I had it in my lap.
Yeah.
And my purse was in the living room, and I know she went in there and went through it.
Yeah.
Kathleen told me, hide your purse.
Yeah. Mm. That's awful.
Her daughter and that son-in-law just turned completely against me. But I thank God she can carry me around.
Yeah.
And I bought her, well, the first day she bought my lunch. So yesterday she's looking for her money, and I bought her lunch and gas.
Well.
So that's mighty cheap to get rode all over the country.
Yeah.
And she is living in a house trailer in Bossier.
What?
And she got a big old van and a car. Her car broke down in the heat.
Mm.
Alternator or something, I can't remember, had to be fixed.
Yeah.
But she's a burden to Sandra and her husband, and they are fine people.
Well.
Sandra's and that other sister, Sandra's sister lives in Mississippi, and she was a little whore up there in Bossier for years.
Mm.
So they all moved back to Durant.
Well.
And that's the ugliest I know.
Mm-hmm.
Besides you farting at Mama's funeral. Well, how's Mark doing?
Mark's doing real good.
Well, I'm glad Billy's sending you this.
Yeah.
So I'll send Sister one.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's a beautiful picture of her.
Okay.
And she was, the way they talked, she was the best one of the family. Poor thing, so good. But Mama's first child, and I just think, but poor Savannah looked like a toothpick.
Mm.
And her hair hadn't been as gray as mine and just combed straight down. Usually she goes to the beauty shop and nobody's take her.
Oh, Lord.
So she's doing good.
She doesn't have color on her hair?
No.
Mm.
Just a little straight down combed.
I have never seen her with that color on her hair.
I haven't either, but she don't have a way to go to the beauty shop.
Oh, Lord. Well, bless
I
her
guess.
heart.
I don't know.
Mm.
Well,
Well,
I don't have a way to go unless James or Alice takes me.
yeah, but Aunt Savannah's always, had color on her hair and everything. And
Well, I know it, but look what she did for Reba's
yeah,
children through school.
yeah.
Bought all their clothes and everything else.
Mm.
Reba's got a good car, and I doubt she ever goes to see her
Mm.
or take her anywhere.
That's sad.
I think Barbara went and took her somewhere one time, or different ones. They're just so busy they can't. Well, when you get old, you're just old, and you're sitting there by yourself.
Well,
So thank you, dear, for letting me hear and wear your ear out.
well, I'm glad you got to go. And
Oh, I'm thankful, thankful. But
yeah.
it was 105 and almost 6.
Mm.
And James's air conditioner's out. He's got to have that fixed. So we just rolled windows down, and after we got out of Shreveport, there's some fresh air.
Yeah. It's cooler in the country, I think, a little bit.
Oh, yes. It was a 20 or 80 degrees cooler when we was coming down the roads with the wind blowing.
Yeah.
There's no wind in Shreveport.
No, all that
And the hot
concrete,
streets.
cement and everything
Yeah.
makes it hotter.
And the streets are buckling up all over Shreveport,
Mm.
causing wrecks. Well, this morning when I turned the news, there's nothing but wrecks all over Shreveport, people getting killed.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is boats and drinking.
Yeah. Well,
If any changes, I'll let you know.
well,
Sorry I can't be there.
I know, but you can come up here whenever we can work out a schedule.
Well, I got to go back to my doctor's.
When?
I've got to go to Steen Hall in August, the 18th, and then if I have to have hip surgery, I'll have to go before October because my hips got worse down in my leg. I can't hardly walk, can't hardly sit down.
Mm.
It's all the way across my back.
Oh.
But I knew that when they sent me to Tom Landry's orthopedic clinic 2 years ago that my hip was worn out, but it's got worse all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is me out pulling that damn hose trying to water.
Mm.
So I quit. I just don't have anything left. It's all burned up. Ned and his mother-in-law had a beautiful little garden over here where we used to have, and it's just all yellow. Everything in this whole country is burned up. But thank God we haven't had a fire lately.
Yeah.
So that's all I know.
Well, we'll get you up here one of these days. We'll have to see what your
We just
schedule.
have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will.
That's all we can do.
I know it. Well, I just wanted to hear from you, so.
Well, I hope I didn't wear your ear out.
No, you didn't.
And we love y'all.
We love you too.
Bye.
Bye.